By this time we have performed so many stuff, but you can still see clients are happily connected to our server. There's no problem for the clients. All right. Now with this manual configuration, we want to switch to the data guard broker configuration. What is this data guard broker? It's an automated tool provided by Oracle which will do everything for you. When we say everything for you, it will set up the physical standby. Generally the physical standby setup still it's manual, you have to do it. But it will perform switchovers for you by issuing just one command. One single command, switchover is done. One single command, failover is done. One single command, your primary is rebuilt after the failover. And you can by default automate the failover system. Somebody was asking me this question. In a manual method, or if you are managing a standby manually like what we are doing right now, it's always a challenge. For a failover, you have to manually bring up the standby up. But in data guard broker, you can completely automate the failover. So how does it work? Let's take the primary is unavailable for a certain period of time. You define the time. So within the failover, if you are using the DG broker, all right. So if you're using the data guard broker, so you define the failover parameter. So the failover parameter or the time will be, let's take 30 seconds. So if the primary is not responding within 30 seconds, the data guard broker will automatically switch all the clients to the standby. So that's something we will be looking tomorrow, guys. The automation of failover. It is known as fast start failover service to enable in data guard broker. But today we are understanding how to configure the data guard broker and to understand how simple it is to administer the entire data guard setup. Till now you have seen so many steps and it's like a pure science or a checklist. It's actually like flying an aeroplane. You need to follow a checklist in order to configure your data guard setup. But with data guard broker, there are this management of physical standby is simplified to bare minimum. So how does it work? But still guys, you can see we will configure the data guard broker. We will perform failovers and switchovers, but I will let this client terminal be there so that we can test our hypothesis. So client should not be impacted, right? Whatever we do with our databases, and that's our main hypothesis. So guys, first things first, how do we configure the data guard broker? Before I show you data guard broker, we need to first look at the listener. So inside the listener, if you remember, when we were trying to configure the database listener, we added something important to the listener, and I mentioned like it is required this part. The global DB name will be database SID underscore DGMGRL. This is most important part. If you don't set this up, it will be an error, or it will be a problem for you to run the data guard broker. So first things first, for the data guard broker configuration, make sure this is set. If you did not set, or if the database doesn't have this option, then make sure you add this entry. You just have to copy it from above. If you see this one SID description, just copy it, paste it, and beside the database SID, just mention underscore DGMGRL. Once you do this, done. Your broker configuration will be smooth. And I think we already have an article. Guys, I'll walk you through the article rather than I'll show you the activity. So data guard broker configuration. Yeah, Oracle data guard broker configuration. This is the article. So in this article, if you read through, one of the amazing articles I've written. So what are the benefits of the data guard broker? I want you guys to read all this. And one of the best part about data guard broker is you can perform all the operations from a remote server as well. So you don't need to log into the same server. If you have TNS entries, you can perform a switchover or failover from a remote server as well. So in the data card broker configuration inside the listeners, if you see, I mentioned you need to have this part underscore DGMGRL part, right? So on the current standby, what you need to do is you need to stop the MRP. So this is our primary, right? And where is our standby? Yep, this is the standby server. So let us stop the MRP. Okay. Now guys, this parameter log archive dest2, if you remember, what is this parameter? This parameter defines the second server where the logs will be shipped, correct? On the primary server, the dest underscore 1 will be pointing to local server. That means this is archive destination. So on the local server where archive should be stored. On the dest underscore 2, it will be remote server, like the remote destination where our logs will be shipped. On the standby, it will be pointing to the test server. So on the primary, it will be pointing to test underscore s. On the standby, it will be pointing to test server. So when this standby becomes primary, the logs will flow in this direction, right? Now we are completely dependent on data card broker. Data card broker is an automated system. It knows how to set your archive destinations. So you need not worry about this parameter. So what we are doing is we are completely removing this parameter. So this is on standby, okay? We'll be removing it both from standby and primary. Show parameter log archive dest2. Now can you see this log archive destination 2? It is pointing to the test server. It is using the service name test to send the logs in the reverse direction, and it will send only when this database becomes or converts into a primary role. Perfect. Because data card broker is, yes?
Please, I don't know if I will be taking this out of topic, but I have a question concerning that log archive destination, and because I was going on a question, and like this they did like said archive destination 1, they didn't put the location. Archive destination 2, they didn't put. Then archive destination 3, they put the location. So the questions was like, for those archive log destination that the destination was not actually put, or set up, where will the files go to? So I was thinking that maybe it will be defaulted to the fast recovery area. I don't know if that was correct.
No, that's right. What happens is, if you see a normal database, if it is basic configuration, when I say basic configuration, if you just created the database, let's take this one. So archive log list. Okay. Can you see the archive destination? It is saying use DB recovery file destination. So this is your FRA location. So if I type show parameter DB recovery file destination, there is no parameter called as use underscore. Okay. So you just have to query this parameter, and if you hit enter, this will give you the exact location where your archive logs are going. At this stage, if FRA is not configured, then you give the archive location. So show parameter test underscore 1. Can you see this destination log archive destination 1 will be empty if you are using or configured the FRA location. So don't get confused. You just check this archive log list. You should get the location where your archives are going. If FRA is not configured, then log archive destination 1 will have value. I hope, Ibay, that will help you.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Amazing. I think because of this FRA, a lot of students get confused, like what's happening inside the database. So, okay, where were we? We were around the data, this one. So what we are doing is we are clearing the log archive destination to parameter because we want the data guard broker to manage it. We are not going to manage it anymore. So we have already stopped the managed recovery and we are clearing this parameter because data guard broker is dynamic. It will automatically change from sync to async, from no FM to FM, from primary role or standby role as and when you make changes to your data guard configuration. So that's why we have to allow data guard broker to be able to set this parameter, and that's why we have to clear this parameter. So now we have cleared this parameter, we have defined no value over here, and we will have to clear this parameter on the primary server also. Alright, so on both the databases we have cleared the archive destination too. So both the servers are not sending the archives to the other server as of now. So how do you enable the broker? Inside your database you have a DG broker start parameter. So show parameter DG broker start. By default this is false. We need to start the data guard broker by enabling this parameter or set it to true. You have to enable it on both the primary and standby. So enable this on primary, alter system set DG broker to true, and you can also check the parameter. This should have been changed to true, right? And the same command I will run onto the standby, and then we will run this show parameter data guard broker. This is also true. So meanwhile in between I am just checking how our clients are doing. Clients are fine. Clients are still able to query our physical standby setup. Perfect. So at this stage for the data guard broker there is a utility that is provided by Oracle, that is DGMGRL. This is the data guard broker utility. What you need to do is you need to register your primary database with this utility so that you can administer the databases, right? So how do you do it? This has to be done on primary, okay? You have to do it on primary. This is little important. Always guys, for your practice, until unless you become an expert, you always check my screen on which terminal I am executing the command. Otherwise it will be a problem. So DGMGRL connect to the sys user, and I'm connecting to the test server, the primary, as sysdba. I think we don't need to mention that also. Give the sys user password. Okay, you can see we are connected to DGMGRL utility. Now once you are connected to this utility, one of the simple commands or the command that you should know is show configuration. This will show if there is any data guard broker configuration that has been set, or if this particular database, that is test database, it has a physical standby or not. It will show you all the configurations. Now that we never configured the data guard broker, definitely there won't be any configuration. So we need to create a new configuration. So what we will do is we add a configuration. What is a configuration? A configuration defines what all servers or which all servers are part of the data guard setup. I repeat, a configuration defines all the servers which are part of the data guard setup. So this test is the primary database, then which is the physical standby database, which is the logical standby database. We can bind these servers together in one configuration. So creating a configuration in DGMGRL is the first step. So how do you do it? You just add a configuration, add database. So sorry, first we have to create the configuration. I think I would need the help of the command. Yeah. So create configuration prod db. You give name of the configuration, whatever name you want to give, not necessarily the name of the database ID. It's like a configuration name. So for example, create configuration my data guard or my DG config, whatever you want to give. My data guard as primary database is, give the primary database SID, that is test. connection identifier is the TNS entry to the test database, that is also test, right? If you see our TNS entry to the test server is test, you have to use the same connection identifier. So first you have to create this configuration, create configuration my data guard configuration, and now in this configuration if you just type show configuration, can you see there are no members? Of course by default it will take test as primary database because we have already added the primary database over here, but we did not add the physical standby and other databases to this configuration. So let us add the physical standby to this configuration, because now with this create configuration we have only added the primary database. So add database, this as connect identifier is this. I think there is some mistake in this command. Let us check. Add database, this will be test underscore s, and this will be test underscore s. So it's been long guys, I have worked on a data guard broker. Good that I think I'm revising these concepts. Okay, looks like this command is fine. Now let us type the show configuration and check the status. Can you see it's saying it will show you the name of the configuration, that's my DG, protection mode is max performance, the members inside this configuration are test, that is primary database, test underscore s, that is physical standby database. Now these two databases are bind together. This is fast start failover, FSFO. Remember I mentioned some time back, this is something we'll be looking tomorrow, the automation of failover. And configuration status is disabled. So currently the configuration is disabled because we did not enable the configuration. So what we have done till now is we created a configuration, added the primary database to it, we added the standby database to the configuration. Now enable the configuration, enable configuration. This will edit and make changes to that log destination to parameter, and it will make sure your standby is becoming in sync with your primary database. All right, and now log shipping. Yeah,
when you do enable configuration, where is it able to pick up the parameters to determine where to ship the logs? How is it able to determine those parameters? Where does it pick it from?
amazing. I won't answer because I want you to check the alert log exactly at this point of time in your setup. You will get answers over there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. So when you enable this configuration, there are certain commands that are executed in the backend, and I think there are 8 or 12 commands that are run inside the database, and those commands I want you all to read. Amazing assignments guys, these assignments I want you to do it because this is just one-time effort, but if you know the concepts, as I always say, knowing concepts is more important than remembering the commands. Commands you can get it from the Google, but knowing what to do and when to do it and when to execute what is more important. So we have enabled the configuration. Now let us try to issue this show configuration command, and what do we see? So this is configuration my DG, protection mode is max performance, and the beauty is with data guard broker, with just one command you can even change the protection modes. You need not worry about how to set the log desk to parameter for max performance or max protection or max availability modes. You are not bothered as a DBA. You just change the mode and automatically all the parameters will be adjusted. So the test database is primary database, test underscore s is a physical standby database. We see there is a warning. Guys, this error 16809, you need not worry because this is network latency error. So it is only for warning. All right, it is saying like the speed at which the network should work between primary and standby, it is not appropriate, and that's why it's throwing that error. So in your test and all, and sometimes we also get this error in real time and we tend to ignore it because it's only a warning. It does not indicate your data guard setup is out of sync or there is a gap. It does not indicate that. It's not an error, okay? So you can read more about this error, and if you don't get in your environment, that means on your system the virtual machines are able to communicate pretty fast. But like on my system, I'm running so many applications, so maybe there might be a network latency over here. Fast start failover, it is disabled. We'll discuss about this tomorrow. And the configuration status is in warning state, so nothing to worry until unless your error is 16809. So we have this configuration, and if you want to see or get more details about the database, you can just type show database test. So can you see over here the database is test, the role is primary, intended state is transport on. This is where it defines whether log shipping is enabled or not. Alright, and instance name is test, database status is success. So you should see this one until unless there is an error inside the database. Then show database test underscore s. Now this is where it tells us that it's in a role of physical standby. The MRP is on. This is how you define the MRP is on. Apply is running. And meanwhile guys, I'm querying the client just to see clients are still able to continue while we are playing around with the data guard setup. The transport lag, it will give you the lag of the transport. It will give you the apply lag. And guys, as I mentioned, as far as you have the error of this 16809, this error, you will see these database warnings because it is saying like transport lag has exceeded specified threshold. So by default in DGMGRL there is, I think, 30 seconds threshold value. So the network latency is causing the logs or the communication between primary and standby to give a warning. So it's only a warning. You can ignore it at this stage, and even in production server if you have it, you can happily ignore this because this is only network latency error. This does not show that your standby is completely out of sync and all. Alright, so very simple commands guys. One single command and your data guard setup is done. Now I'll quickly show you couple of commands because my focus is to move again fast on to the switchover and failover. Let's take you want to disable the transport of the logs, right? Or you want to disable the MRP process. This is also you can do. So for example, edit database test underscore s, set state equal to apply hyphen off. This will stop the MRP on this database. Can you see? Apply off. And now you can edit this or execute this same statement, switch on the MRP process, and your data guard will start the MRP process for you. You need not worry about all this. And show database test underscore s. You can see apply is on. The same way you can stop the log shipping of the from the primary server. Show database test. This transport is on, right? You can edit the database to switch off the transport of the logs from the primary to standby. So guys, this is the simplest method of setting up the data guard broker. Of course, inside the data guard broker, DGMGRL has its own commands. If you type help, there are so many commands that you can run inside DGMGRL. Of course, we cannot run through all those commands. I'll be walking you through only the important commands.